Hello, everybody, and welcome to Equilibrium's 5th community call. My name is Lesley. I'm responsible for business development, and I'm here as always with two of my colleagues, Alex and Peter. And if you don't know what Equilibrium is yet, we are the first cross-chain DeFi hub one-stop shop on Polkadot, and we are offering our own DEX, a lending platform, margin trading, synthetics, and a lot of other exciting stuff. And we're here to tell you the latest news. Let me have my colleagues introduce themselves to you, please, gentlemen.
Hi, guys. My name is Alex. I'm the CEO with the Equilibrium team. I'm responsible for the overall product strategy and the strategy of the company. This community call will be covering a lot of exciting updates and achievements in terms of our roadmap. We definitely will be covering more things related to our past first phase of the PLAO. Here I actually want to say thank you to all the community members who participated. And let me give it over to Peter.
Hello, guys. My name is Peter, and I'm a business analyst with Equilibrium, and I also manage a technical team. So nice to meet you all, and let's get going.
Okay, if we could have the first slide, great. So I'm just going to tell you really quickly what you can expect on this call specifically. First of all, as always, we'll give you our tech updates, the lowdown on what's been happening, and that includes also our roadmap. Then we're going to tell you about details of the token swap that has just concluded, also our investment round, which we're very happy to have closed successfully, some of the current events that have happened and one that's upcoming, and also, of course, all about what specifically is going to be happening with our Kusama crowd loan and the plans for that. So if I could have the next slide. Then I'm going to hand it over to Peter with the tech updates.
All right. So it's been a busy month for us. We've been up to a lot of interesting stuff from a technical point of view, and I'm going to just cover all the bullet points you guys see here on the slide. So basically, I've decided to split our tasks into the complete ones and into the ones we're currently working on. So in the complete section, we've completed a Curve grant with the Web3 and Parity Open Grants program. And currently we're in the process of approval. And basically the grants team, they've asked us to provide some more additional code comments. And after we will do that, I think we'll get our approval. And that means this is an important milestone achieved for us, where we will have the runtime, substrate runtime version of Curve protocol available to Polkadot community, and we're actually planning to integrate that palette or that module into our own substrate. We've also been working on our bridge, and as you know, it's been up and running for quite a while already. And as always, I suggest that you go and try it in our testnet, which is also up and running and functioning for quite some time already. And basically, right now you can transfer both CRV and ETH tokens back and forth between Ethereum Ringkebuy testnet and our own testnet. And the stuff that we have been doing with the bridge involves addition of new events to the relays who actually perform the blockchain communication between our substrate and Ethereum. We've also completed the revision of our integration tests, and that's like one of the most important functionalities in our code, because we like to extensively test everything we have, including our business logic. And our integration tests, they basically simulate our system in its entirety. So we create lots of different positions. We simulate market conditions and see how system reacts to adverse market movements, significant price drops, how will borrowers react, how will their interest rate be adjusted, etc., etc. And basically, we have completed our test framework, and all the new tests that are going to be added to this framework will include the new functionality we will be adding to our ecosystem. We've also completed the liquidity farming section. Right now, we will be rewarding only bailsmen, and they will get at least 20% of annual rewards in EQ tokens for providing liquidity into the bailout pool. This is very important for us because if you're familiar with our risk model, basically, the more liquidity bailsmen have, the safer the entire system is, and basically, the more assets are there to safeguard the system in case of some adverse market movements or significant price drops. There's lots of stuff in progress which we are currently working on. We have started modifying our margin call functionality and introducing maintenance margin, which is basically we don't forcefully liquidate users when the critical collateralization of their portfolios is reached, but rather we give them some time to recapitalize their portfolios, and if they fail to do so, then they will get a maintenance margin call. We're also moving from the notion of collateralization and LTV to somewhat familiar notion for traders and market participants of margin. Basically, when you open up a position, you need to supply a margin in an amount equivalent to some amount of US dollars. And as you know, we work with portfolios, so margin within equilibrium can be supplied in any assets that we're going to support. That's one of the tasks which is currently in progress. Another one, which is a bit tricky, is an XCM automatic asset addition. And this is currently research in progress because Polkadot itself, they haven't finalized their cross-chain communication protocol, and so there's still lots of unknowns. But the main idea here is that we want to be parachain compatible and be ready to become a parachain once they go live. And we also want to be able to add different tokens or assets to our system on the fly. That means we wouldn't need to go ahead and redeploy something when we want to add a new token or a new asset, and that would be done automatically by calling some some special action inside the blockchain and specifying different parameters of the asset being added. Another stuff which is really good news, that we have started integrating different oracles into our substrate, and currently we are closely working with Bluecell and Band oracles, and we've been testing their setup on testnet. So far it's been very successful, and we're also planning to eventually add Chainlink. So apart from our own oracle, there will be 3 different oracles in Equilibrium, which will all act simultaneously, and we will derive a median price from all those different oracles, which adds a super redundancy to our system, because right now even our oracle, it gathers prices from like 5 or 6 different sources, and it also calculates median. There's lots of different mechanisms to make sure that the price doesn't go way out of range, and so addition of new oracles just makes that mechanism more reliable. Another big task we're currently working on is a backend for our UI, because currently we were sitting on Mongo database, and we want to migrate to something more technical, and so you see lots of different technical terms here. Basically, that's what we're going to use for our setup, where we will be reading data from our blockchain, putting into the message queue, and then putting it into the database and pre-process it the way which is suitable for our front end, because we want to show users different metrics, like how much they earn on average, how much they earn in aggregate, what's their APRs, what's their payments as borrowers, what are their earnings as bailsmen, etc., etc. What are their liquidity farming rewards? So we need a lot of data from blockchain, and we need a lot of pre-processing of that data to be able to do that. that's it for the backend. And another one, which is also very exciting, that we've been playing with external validators in our testnet, and we've successfully added our first validator, which is a Ryabina validator. They're very known validator inside both in Kusama and Polkadot ecosystem. And well, it didn't go smoothly, but we eliminated all of the hurdles or the mistakes along the way, and currently we can basically add different validators pretty fast to our networks. So that's it for tech updates, and let's hop to the next slide. Well, I'll be talking about our roadmap. So basically you will see how these tech updates are aligned with the dates. So first of all, let me tell you that this is an approximate schedule because, you know, the ecosystem is still new. There's lots of different unknowns, but we're striving to be as fast as possible. And as you can see on this slide, there's lots of stuff we're planning to do, and our plans for next 3 months, from a technical perspective, they look the following way. So we're almost done with our Kusama Lockdrop, and that is what my colleagues will be talking in greater detail during the course of today's presentation. So I will leave that for them. And then we need to refactor our bridge monitoring because currently the logs we see from our relays, they're not sufficient to actually identify problems efficiently. So we will be upgrading that, and we expect to finish that somewhere in the second half of May. The backend, which I was talking about, basically will be finished by the end of May. The curve integration, and I've been talking about that we've finalized the grant, and we plan to integrate the curve initially into our substrate by the end of May as well. Then we're going to add different assets, but without the support of cross-chain messaging protocol, and that means that we will be able to add different assets in our substrate on the fly without the need to redeploy stuff to blockchain, and that is planned for the first half of June. We're also in talks with different bridges inside the Polkadot ecosystem, and one of the bridges we're really looking forward to adding is a RenVM bridge, and they actually support not only Bitcoin but other different blockchains, and currently they support like 7 different blockchains. And once we start working with them, we expect that by the mid of June we will add the support of all of the assets this bridge currently supports. Lending of assets, that's more of a front-end task because currently lending functionality, it works in blockchain, but we want to revise our UI somewhat and to make that lending more intuitive, more user-friendly, more simple, to show users what they have borrowed, to show lenders what they have lent, what are utilizations, etc., etc. So we will be working on our UI heavily in these tasks, and expect that to finish by the mid of June as well. Another task on Curve is basically the migration to assets, where this means that users will be able to come in, create their own Curve AMM pools inside Equilibrium, and add different assets on the fly. So you could add, for example, a stablecoin pool with 3 or 4 different stablecoins in a matter of few clicks without the need to actually redeploy stuff again. Then, well, last but not least, I would say the DEX. Yes, as you already know from the previous slide, we have started working on our margining section, and we've also conducted some research on how to efficiently manage the order book on chain, and we have come across lots of different and cool stuff, and actually learned how Polka and the storage works inside Polka, and which way is the optimal to actually go about that storage and to handle the storage. And so we'll be working from the blockchain perspective on order management, order matching, etc., etc. And from the front end perspective, we will be working on our slick UIs, and we want to do make interfaces both for novice users and for professional users. So novice users will be able to buy stuff in a matter of few clicks, while professional users will enjoy stuff like depth of market, trade list of trades, and charts, etc., etc. And finally, the one which doesn't have a date is the XCMP migration and parachains. Well, apparently we don't know the dates because we're heavily dependent on Polka itself in this task. But yeah, we're working on that, and hopefully Polka will launch those parachains sooner than later, and as soon as they do that, we will be compatible. And the same relates to Polka BTC bridge, because that is an awesome bridge, and the guys, they will become one of the core parachains inside ecosystem. So they also heavily depend on parachains, so we don't know timing of that one as well, but we're in close contact with their team. They're doing an impressive job. Their protocol is amazing, and we're definitely going to be adding them to our substrate once both them and our parachains. So that's it for our tech roadmap, and now I'm passing the word back to Lesley.
Great.
Or yeah.
Yep. So I would like to tell you about the current, well, about the swap that we've actually already completed as the first phase of the PLO preparing for the auction that is upcoming. So as you know, if you've been following us or if you've participated, that started originally on April 12th and ended on the 25th. And we're proud to say that within the first 2 days, actually, we reached the technical hard cap. But nonetheless, we kept the swap open until the 25th because, of course, there are several filters that are being taken into account about who participates. The first one being, of course, the whitelist, as you know, if you participated. The second one, well, actually, the whitelist, and then in connection with that, the result of the vote, right? Who's in the majority of the vote for the leasing period. And the third filter then being, of course, the order in which you actually participated and made your pledge. So first come, first serve. And that is why, in fact, this screenshot that you're looking at right now, which is a screen of our website, might actually already be a little bit outdated because it's changing momentarily. And the reason for that is because until the 3rd of May, people still have the opportunity, if they were in the minority vote, to change their mind and to vote for the majority, which is the 2-year period, which already clearly has won. So that is why the pie chart here is continually changing slightly, and will do so until, again, the end of the day on the 3rd. So in a nutshell, we know that the 2-year leasing period has dominated, and that is going to be what we will be going for. We have, again, overshot the actual hard cap, and we have an oversubscription of over 78,000 dots. We've got a lot of people getting bonuses, which is great for you guys, exciting to hear. Over 5 million EQ that have been swapped. So a really, really good result. And I would like to tell you a little bit more about the particulars of the statistics on the next slide, if I could have that, please. So we've got well over 2,000 transfers that were successful. Actually, it's quite interesting to see that although we had a huge amount of participants that were signed up for the white list, there were over 5,000 people. Actually, only 22% of that white list actually participated. But interestingly enough, if you look at the overall results, 33% of the DOT that are locked are from the whitelisted users, which means that actually we have a huge predominance of community participation, which was, I would like to say, in some ways spontaneous. And that's actually a good thing in the sense that it tells us that there is huge interest for a project, because usually you don't get that kind of result. And that's why, in fact, we've prepared that white list with such lead time in advance to be sure that we could plan. And so we're very happy to see that there's a lot of community support and a lot of interest that is coming spontaneously, even without taking into account the careful preparation. So we have an average pledge of about 220 DOT. And in fact, interestingly, also in connection with what I said before about the community, only 5 pledges that were over 10,000 DOT, meaning that, again, the backbone of the support is coming from a lot of relatively smaller pledges from the community and not from big whales. And in fact, among those larger pledges, we do have some institutional participants who have also supported us in our investment round. So that's great news as well. And really, thank you once again to everyone who has participated in that. We're very proud and we really appreciate your support. And if I could have the next slide, please. I would like to tell you some of the next steps that we're going to have lined up in connection with this swap. So I mentioned already the date, May 3rd. What is that as a milestone? What that means is that, again, we've given people from the end of the swap on the 25th until May 3rd inclusive to actually say whether or not they want to opt in or out if they're in the minority. Now, the assumption, again, is that if you don't say anything, then you're opting in. But if you want to opt out as a minority voter, you can do that by contacting us. We have returns. The returns will be done for the oversubscriptions that I mentioned earlier. Also, of course, your bonuses that you are, eligible for, you will be getting at that time, and the EQ that you actually will get for the swap. The bonuses, of course, include both in proportion to the pledge that you made, and then, of course, the 1% if you were signed up in the white list and if you made any referrals. There's something very important that I'd like to mention in connection with all of these events going on May 3rd. There are a number of users, thankfully not too many, but a few, who have mistakenly made transfers that were done from exchanges instead of from their Polkadot wallet. And as we told you on the PLO call that we had recently, and as we announced in our various communications, it was necessary to do the transfer from the Polkadot wallet. So we cannot clearly identify transfers that were made from the exchanges. We need documentation from the exchanges directly, not from the users, but from the exchanges about those mistaken transfers so that we can recognize them. And we do want to recognize them for you. So our recommendation is, if you fall into that category, please contact your exchange. Tell them to send us documentation at the email, which is noted here, contact@equilibrium.io, and to write the subject line, transaction confirmation. Okay, you would really be doing yourselves a favor. And of course, we want to return to you what we can, but we do need proof for obvious reasons, because otherwise anyone can come to us. And I hope you'll appreciate that. Okay, so that's really, really important. Phase 2 is important to mention how we will proceed after that swap is completely wrapped up and we go into the auctions. The biddings will start, when we start, as soon as from the point that we start the biddings for Polkadot, we're talking about Polkadot right now as opposed to Kusama, you will have 5 months as needed. Well, better said, we will allow ourselves 5 months if necessary to win a slot that was announced in the terms and conditions that you saw on the site when you participated in the swap. So this is just sort of a heads up about the time frame. We are hoping, of course, that we will win one of the first auctions that we participate in, but we can't guarantee that, and that is why we have planned this kind of buffer time. So just to let you know about that. And now I'm going to pass it on, the next slide, to Alex telling you about the investment round.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely the support we have received from the community in the course of the first phase of our PLO was really amazing. However, not just solely community supported us. We recently have raised the Series A investment rounds. We have raised $2.5 million from institutional investors. The lineup of them you can see on the right-hand side. Most of them are, like all of them basically, are very well known in the ecosystem. They're reputable and really influential funds. The goal of these rounds was not just to receive investments and to get these funds aboard, but to establish partnerships with these institutional players in order to get the support in the course of further project development. So basically, all these funds are playing a significant role in the Polkadot ecosystem. We definitely expect them to support us not only in development of our projects, but also in the course of our upcoming second phase of our PLO. Some of them already participate in the first phase, and yeah, looking forward to these amazing partnerships. So I'm passing this over to Lesley. She will cover.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. So I hope you all can hear me as well. And I'd like to tell you about the tech meetup that we did recently in Moscow, in downtown Moscow on the 17th of April, in a very exciting location, by the way, which is called the Aviator Loft. And if I can have the next slide, I'm going to show you some details. So here's the website. In case you missed it, you can look it up. And I would like to also announce that if you Google us, you can find the documentation, a film of it on our YouTube channel. And just to remind you, in case you didn't hear this earlier, the target audience was focusing mostly on back-end blockchain developers, who a lot of them have background and experience with the Rust programming language and working on the substrate. And if they don't already, then of course it was informing them on that, because the topic was, of course, how to work with Polkadot on the substrate. So the format was, we had, of course, a range of expert talks from all different kinds of people, and a lot of hands-on Q&A and networking opportunities. And of course, with the intention of growing the Polkadot community in Moscow and in Russia, and specifically, of course, our engagement in that. So we were happy to say that we got really quite a big turnout. We got 7 blockchain engineers and influencers who were involved, a lot of really exciting companies. I'm going to tell you a little bit more on the next slides, and topics covering the whole range of what's current relating to Polkadot's technology. So we had about 150 registrations, and half confirmed on-site physical participation, and on Crowdcast also, and almost 1,000 website users. So that's really quite a good turnout for such a short notice event. And we're really excited about that, since it was the first of its kind. If I could have the next slide, please. So just an overview quickly of the speakers. As you can see here, of course, we've got several of our own, including Benjamin in the first row middle, who's our tech lead, and Maxime, who's our software developer. Then we had also several people from Parity, including Fyodor here on the upper left-hand side, some very interesting entrepreneurs like Alexander from Byzantine Solutions, McKinsey & Company, its digital department was represented, and of course, Alexander, who is the Polkadot ambassador for Russia. Next slide, please. So this is Alexander again, who moderated the event for us, introducing it, telling us about what's going on generally with Polkadot in Russia. If I could have the next slide. And I don't know why it's always taking so long to focus, but anyway, I hope you can see this is our own Benjamin, who is telling us about the particulars of working with substrate, pluses and minuses, everything you have to take account of. You can see the audience is listening raptly. Next slide, please. This is also our own colleague, Maxime, who is telling us about what you have to take into account when you do testing for substrate blockchain integrations. Next one. And Alex in the middle here, who of course was standing ready for Q&A, not only during the Q&A session, but also hands-on in between speeches and after the event, and a lot of interest and a lot of people who want to get more involved. So overall, really a really great result, and we're very excited that there is such an echo and such a lot of resonance going on right here where we have one of our offices. So I'm going to hand it on now to Alex, who's going to tell us about another very exciting event which is coming up and which he'd like to announce to you.
Sure. So we're super excited to participate in the next Polka Decoded event, which will take place on May 20th. Actually, I will be giving a speech there. The topic of that will be bailouts versus auctions. I'll be covering how we use Polkadot for sustainable lending. The speech will be at 7:15 p.m. Central European time, and actually I will be covering things related to our risk management mechanism regarding liquidity settled in advance in our protocol to ensure that basically all the liquidated debts will be almost instantly absorbed. And actually, like, I think this event is definitely worth attending because there will be over 40 global innovators who are building on Polkadot and respective decision makers, and you basically will learn a lot of insights about what's going on the Polkadot ecosystem and the blockchain space overall. So if you know most of the proposals were created from the community, and I think that it will be really interesting to see all this speech. Yeah, Lesley, you wanted to
yeah, I
something?
just wanted to add, because Alex was quite modest and maybe forgot to say something important. We call the subtitle of this "The Community Has Spoken" for a reason, because this was really sort of like a competition where all the projects on Polkadot submitted their suggestions for speeches. And if you recall, we mentioned that earlier, but I just like to stress that we were one of the ones who luckily was, found enough interest among the community, among the ecosystem, to get a slot. So we're grateful, appreciative of that, and happy to be participating. Just wanted to say.
Awesome. Yeah, so another thing which I wanted to share with you guys is the launch of our Genshiro, basically the announcement of our plans with regards to Kusama auctions. We'll be launching there our own parachain called Genshiro. So the idea behind this parachain that it will be, first of all, a test site for all products that we will be rolling out in the Kusama and the Polkadot ecosystem overall, and to distinguish our Kusama parachain from the Polkadot parachain, we have developed a quite comprehensive strategy. So first of all, this Genshiro network will be inheriting the so-called experimental spirits of the Kusama network, meaning that it will be more relevant to sort of traders who used to taking more risk rather than average ones. To basically this product line that will be rolling out to Kusama will have a specific parameters, maybe more sort of brave compared to what we will be setting for the Polkadot's product line. Also, there will be a bunch of assets from the day one added to our Kusama-based products. And actually, while we will be very much selective in terms of assets that we'll be adding on our Polkadot-based parachain, in our Genshiro network, there will be almost all popular ERC20 tokens listed. And actually, the variety of these assets will be way greater than assets. There will be more. The assets lineup on the Polkadot parachain, which will be more conservative. So worth mentioning that the website is already live. You can go to Genshiro.equilibrium.io to check it out, and we actually have kicked off the whitelisting process for the crowd loan on Kusama. We think that it's very much relevant, specifically with respect to our recent experience with our PLO on Polkadot when the hard cap was filling up really quickly. So we definitely suggest to go to our website of Genshiro and to join the whitelist right away. If you're obviously planning to participate in our cloud loan on Kusama. So you can check more details on that on PLO basically in our token economy paper, which you will find on the Genshiro's website. So obviously, since we're launching this network, we definitely require some core assets there, which will be Gens tokens, and actually these tokens will have quite a lot of utility in the Genshiro parachain. So it will be used for covering fees for transacting on the network. It will be also the key asset for the on-chain governance there, and maybe also worth mentioning that the governance on Genshiro parachain will be really decentralized, specifically because of the wide token distribution. So I think that's like our goal is basically to give the control over this parachain in the hands of community, like almost since the parachain will be launched. So also Gens will be Genshiro's will be used for covering interest and all fees in our products on the Genshiro parachain, acting as a platform currency. So what's maybe the most relevant to the existing EQ holders here? So we are planning to roll out the very innovative mechanics here, which is the Lockdrop. So basically all EQ token holders, they can be entitled with the respective amounts of Genshiros on our Genshiro parachain. In order to do that, they need to lock their free circulating or vested EQ tokens in dedicated vault on our Equilibrium's parachain, and basically earn a bonus. So this bonus will be starting from 30%. So we'll be declining in the course of 30 days, starting our sort of launch of the Lockdrop mechanics. And the earlier you lock your EQ tokens, the larger bonus you get. So the basic sort of rate for this lock is you receive 10 Genshiros for each EQ token that you lock, and again you can get up to 30% in bonuses. So maybe also one thing that I wanted to mention, it's very much relevant to those who have allocation subject to vesting. So the kind of the idea behind that is that you first of all you can get Genshiros against your allocation, which is still locked. You can consider that as a certain bonus. But the thing is that the more free balance of your EQ you lock, the more Genshiros will be allocated to you on our Kusama parachain. So you actually can learn more details on that from our token economy paper, which is again published and available on our Genshiro website, genshiro.equilibrium.io. So another thing, like as soon as tokens Lockdrop participants will get their EQ locked on Polkadot parachain, they basically will receive the respective amounts of Genshiros in which will be allocated in the dedicated vault in a Genshiro parachain. So basically, the idea that you obviously can get access to these tokens right away, right after the genesis block of our Genshiro parachain. However, we recommend you to keep these tokens in this vault in the course of 90 days, because there will be penalty for immediate withdrawal. It will start with 50% and will be declining in the course of 90 days. On 90th day, it will become equal 0. right? So basically, you will be able to withdraw your or get your Genshiros after the periods of 90 days without any penalty. However, in the course of these 90 days, there will be a certain penalty applied depending on how early you will be withdrawing your Genshiros from this vault. Maybe another interesting thing here with regarding to this mechanics is that all penalties collected from early withdrawals will be distributed to remaining users, and basically incentivizing them to hold Genshiros in this vault as long as possible. Yeah, so
okay.
Here's our context.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
no, I just wanted to say, as usual, our contacts, if you'd like to contact us directly, and we're opening up the Q&A, and I see that you've got a bunch of questions you've already asked in the chat, so we're going to jump right into those. And we do have some that we've also collected from you earlier, so I hope that we'll have time to cover them all. I see the first one. How does the phase 2 auction work? I didn't understand anything from the articles. What are the differences between balancer, I guess it is meant here, bootstrapping auction, and parachain auction? Tell me like I'm 5 years old, please. Okay, well, this is actually one of the questions that I also saw in the collection that we got earlier, so I'm going to address that. So I think that you might have a slight misunderstanding here, okay? Because balancer, its instrument, which is a liquidity bootstrapping pool, is a little bit different than what the crowd loan auctions are going to be, okay? So the balancer is of course an automated market maker, and this tool is actually designed for initial distribution and price discovery of new assets. So it's actually used for launches of new projects. And what we are proposing, or not just we, but Polkadot as a ecosystem with the parachain auctions, is exactly what the name suggests. So what that means is these are a chance for you to bid in our name so that we can win a parachain leasing slot on both the Polkadot and the Kusama networks. And that doesn't really have anything to do with bootstrapping liquidity or with launching a token as such, okay? Those are separate events. So essentially, we need to do the parachain auctions and get slots because we do intend to become a full-fledged member of both the network on Kusama and on Polkadot. And in order to really take full advantage of the technology there, on the substrate, we need to be a full-fledged parachain. So this is the reason. I hope that answers your question. It's really, as they say, like comparing apples and oranges, because actually what Balancer does has nothing to do really with this auction scheme or crowd loan scheme on Polkadot. Let's look at the next one. And by the way, if in any case, when we're answering questions, if you don't get your full answer, just write to us in addition in the chat, okay? Just to clarify so that we know. Next question, are you planning to add stablecoin pegged to the euro? Well, this is something we haven't discussed, but maybe Alex has plans. Alex, would you like to take that one? Can you hear us, or are you frozen?
I can take on that one, Lesley.
Yeah, it looks like Alex is frozen.
Okay, guys, so definitely, and I won't be tired reiterating that our core product, or the core technology underpinning our product, actually allows for addition of anything we want. It's just a matter of feeding the corresponding price to our oracle, and that means not only stable coins pegged to different other currencies other than USD, but also synthetic assets, stocks, commodities, etc., etc. And this is where the opportunity is just huge, because we can combine those different synthetic assets and create different portfolios for users and have them play with those portfolios, have users basically like in traditional finance check on their risk profile by answering some questions and then offering them different instruments for actually, saving their money in not the volatile way the crypto offers it, but in more of a traditional and thoughtful approach the traditional or centralized finance do it, where they try to mitigate portfolio risks, make it as diverse as possible, and where they're basically looking at how to smooth the equity curve or a sharp ratio of one's portfolio. So exciting stuff ahead of us. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
We've got the next question. Are you planning to add ledger support to your DApp? And I think that would actually also be one for Peter, if you don't mind taking that as well.
Well, actually, we had several users during our PLO phase 1 who experienced trouble with Ledger, but that is more of an issue of the Polkadot GS extension. So that needs to be supported by them at first, and then we will be supporting it automatically. But we will definitely have a chat with them or contact them to solve the issue, because several users had a problem. And that relates, Lesley, to the question you were talking about exchanges. We need to somehow reward the users who have sent tokens from their ledgers, and most likely with these users, we'll ask them to provide their Polkadot GS, where their addresses, which they will manage with Polkadot GS extension, and we will be distributing EQ tokens to those addresses.
And in terms of the refunds for the exchanges where we're talking about people who have transferred mistakenly from the exchange as opposed to from their wallet, as I mentioned during the course of the presentation, once again, we really ask you to please contact your exchange, ask them to send us documentation of your transfer directly, send it to the address which I indicated on the in the presentation. And if I could have, if my colleague Emily is on the call, please add the link to this, or I can actually do it well, the link to this presentation. I will do that in a moment so that you can look at it. But I will also repeat to you right now the address that the exchanges need to send that documentation to. That address is contact@equilibrium.io. And let me just add right now in the chat the link for the presentation so you can see it, so that you're clear on that. The subject line should be transaction confirmation. So I hope that that answers that question. And that
Lesley, I just wanted to add to that, we're definitely asking for understanding. Asking these community members who actually transfers funds from exchanges, we are asking you guys for understanding that. Obviously, understand this procedure might be slightly tough to get the confirmation from exchanges. However, it's absolutely a necessity, because if we don't have this confirmation, we cannot basically identify whether you transfer these funds or somebody else.
Yeah. Okay. So the next questions, I'm going to have to ask whoever wrote them, Dominic, respectively Samet, to please add comments in the chat, because these questions are unclear. So the next one is, how does it work? How does what work? We need to know, because otherwise it doesn't make sense to even attempt an answer. We could be talking to you for like 3 hours or more, right? So please understand, Dominic, ask exactly how does what work. Please write to us still that in the chat so we can answer your question. And then I have Samet, who is written in Turkish. I did try and learn Turkish once, but I have to admit, unfortunately, I didn't get very far with it. So I would like to ask Samet to please translate into English, preferably, if you can. That would be wonderful. And I hope then that we will be able to answer, and that it will make sense to you in English as well. So then the next question that I see is or will there be a future bridge between Genshiro and Equilibrium? I think this one is for Peter as well.
As soon as either Polkadot or any other team who is working on substrate-to-substrate bridge will finalize the technology, we will be able to add the bridge between our two networks.
Okay. Do you have a token burning mechanism for the 1.2 billion Genshiro tokens on Kusama to enable to gain value? We do not have any inflation or deflationary mechanism with respect to our Kusama project. So yeah, I hope that answers that. When and how will the people who missed phase 1 be able to get your tokens? I am assuming you mean when you can buy them, okay, as soon as they're listed on exchanges. And we will be announcing that as it becomes current. That will be coming up soon. But again, until then, the only chance that you have to get those tokens is to participate in now the next event, the fundraising event that will be happening, which is the first crowd loan auction that we'll be participating in, and that's going to be in the context of the Kusama network, so for the Genshiro project. Okay, and after that, of course, it will also be for Polkadot. So keep that in mind because, again, you want a first mover advantage. What can we expect from EQ in 5, or you mean actually not EQ as a token, but Equilibrium in 5 years from now, expecting you win the auction, i.e. goals, trends, team growth? So this is also a very philosophical question, and I probably don't have the last word, but I'm going to attempt it and then also ask my colleagues to pitch in. So first of all, I mean, we do have already now a vision about Equilibrium, right? And we have 3 goals that we have in mind, which are products and our whole architecture and design are sort of aiming for, right? And the first one is to end the market fragmentation in the DeFi market. And that is why we have a one-stop shop, which covers all the major use cases so that you can do everything conveniently from one location and actually on one chain, even though we are cross-chain, right? The next thing is that we want to solve the problem of forced auctions by making them irrelevant and replacing them with the bailsman mechanism, which you should know by now, hopefully, is very key because we saw what happened on Black Thursday last year when MakerDAO and Ethereum crashed. And the third goal that we have with our project, with our added value to DeFi, is that we want to solve the liquidity problem. And that means that with our cross-chain functionality and our multi-asset collateral, we want to increase the reach of the liquidity pools that we can offer and increase the value and convenience for our users. So I would say that if we can reach those 3 goals in 5 years, that's great, and probably then some. And I would also like to add here, you've asked about 5 years. I'm not sure why exactly is that, because the actual auctions, or better said, the leasing period only goes for 2 years on Polkadot, right? So we're hoping that we will already see results then. But again, what happens in 5 years, we can still add to the vision that we have right now. So that is still open on and beyond what I've already mentioned. If my colleagues want to add to that, please pitch in. Otherwise, I'm going to go for the next question here.
Yeah, maybe I wanted also to stress that question and add to that apparently there will be the long-awaited mass adoption, not only the blockchain technology, but also the DeFi space overall. And we think that by introducing sort of conglomerate of DeFi products with a bunch of functionality delivered in the convenient user interface, this is something which will definitely facilitate this adoption and expectedly drive quite a lot of interest to our platform and facilitates kind of further user acquisition. So we definitely think that specifically it's related to the scalability maybe of underlying platforms as well, the blockchain platforms. And I think from this standpoint, Polkadot is definitely a good choice with regards to further scalability as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next one, Gens or EQ, which will be the first list token. I'm not sure if this is really asking about listing in the classical sense or if this is asking about the actual auction. So in our understanding of Polkadot's plans, and again, keep in mind they haven't announced the dates yet, the first auctions will be happening on Kusama. So then, of course, correspondingly, gens would be the first tokens that we will, well, that would be the first auctions that we would be participating in. And probably connected to that, also the first listings that we will be doing. But again, that depends on what actually ends up happening, among other things, with Polkadot's final dates when they actually come out. We are expecting they're going to be faster with Kusama. When does locking EQ for gens Lockdrop actually begin? Peter, would you like to take that?
Yeah, sure. Well, actually, we were aiming at the mid of May, but again, lots of stuff depends here on the way Kusama auctions proceed and the way they proceed with actually preparing for those auctions. But that's our primary target. Yes, so mid of May, we will be launching that function.
Yeah, but anyways, I think we'll make more announcements after we finalize the results of our first phase of the PLO. We will come up with more particular dates with regards to further important milestones for all our sort of launch and events related to our tokens. So stay tuned and definitely keep an eye on our announcements.
We've still got a few more questions left. Will you be launching a launch pad? Alex, how about you?
So it depends on what exactly Tahir Khan is asking. So if he means whether we will be launching a launch pads in terms of our product line, then apparently no, we will not be launching that. If you mean whether we will be launching our tokens on a launch pad, we will be announcing more particular roadmap with regards to further token launch quite soon. So again, we'll keep you posted.
And I see Tahir is asking another question here. At the end of the 24-month token swap parachain leasing period, can you exchange total EQ plus bonus EQ equals initial deposit dot plus 10% bonus dot? Okay, so this question sounds complicated, and it sort of is. And I think that, Tahir, we've been corresponding about this already by email. So I'm going to repeat to you again what I said in my email. When you get back your, and colleagues, you can add to this if necessary, when you get back your original DOT after the leasing period, you get back the amount that you originally swapped for your DOT. You get to keep your EQ bonuses, or better, bonuses is not the, well, if you're talking about the swap, yes, you get to keep the bonuses. But if you decide to, now I'm getting it confused. We're talking about the swap. So if you have participated in the swap and at the end of the leasing, you opt to get back your DOT. You don't get it back immediately. I mean, automatically. You opt for it. You say you want them. Then you get it back based on the original swap rate as a reverse swap rate. Okay? And you keep your EQ bonus, but the EQ bonus you got doesn't feed into making a different swap rate, if you follow what I'm saying. Okay? So you get the same swap rate that you had initially.
Exactly. So, yeah. So meaning that guy is asking whether he can swap the bonuses with plus total EQ allocation for dots. It actually will be impossible. So basically, you need to submit the initial EQ amount of EQ. You will get your initial amount of dots that you contributed, and you just keep your bonus in EQ with you. So that's it.
Okay, exactly. Same as I wrote to you. So we are running out of time. Let's try and see if we can finish some more questions, but we've only got 2 minutes. So I see here one. I was whitelisted for the EQ swap. I was selected for 24 months, or I selected 24 months, but for some unknown reason, I was switched to 12 months. I've now changed to 24. Will I be considered the same as someone who chose 24 months when I was whitelisted? Yes, because it's the order. Well, the order of operations also determines things, right? It's a bunch of factors. Again, your whitelist, how you voted, and when you pledged, right? So, but you will be considered. And again, we have to see then how fast when we've got all of the results by the 3rd of May, and we look through at what point we reach that absolute net hard cap, and then that's the cutoff, okay? Because then we know exactly no one's changing their mind anymore, if you follow what I'm saying, okay? Make sense? So let's see, we have 1 more minute left. Let's see, okay, we've gotten that one already. Let me see, what else did we miss? And I do apologize for not getting to the other questions that we gathered already. So here, Khan has asked this question several times, so I'm gonna ignore it now. Let's see, we've got a repeat here as well. Okay, we've got a bunch of repeated questions. Let me see if I can open real quick what we've already collected and do at least one, the first one. How to become an ambassador. Yes, let me add this to the chat. Okay, somebody asked for being pointed in the right direction, and we're always happy about that. So let me just add those links to the... I hope you guys are still there.
Yep.
Yeah, and why is it not giving me the opportunity to add this to the chat? Bear with me if you can still hear me. I will hopefully be able to do that in one moment.
Let's ask Emily to.
Emily, can you quickly just take from the collected questions the links that I added there and put them in the chat so that people have that? That would be great. I hope she's on this call. Anyway, with that said, I'm gonna end now because we're out of time. But thank you. And if, oh, by the way, if she doesn't manage to do it yet here, we're going to add it to our Telegram chat. Okay, so you're going to have that. So whoever asked that question, please look for that. Thank you so much for your participation, and hoping to see you the next time, which will be in all likelihood. Well, we have to still look for the date, so we'll be announcing that as usual. And nonetheless, it will be in a month, and we hope to see you there. Thanks very much for your interest, and take care. All the best. Bye.
Thank you very much, guys. Till soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.